Hello students, welcome back. Some of you might be jogging regularly or doing workouts in the morning, right? Have you wondered why we breathe heavily after jogging or after doing a heavy exercise? The answer lies in this video. Let's learn about respiration. As we all know, breathing is a part of respiration. We hear from our parents that we should eat regularly as it gives us energy. But why do we need this energy? We need energy to perform bodily activities. Let's try to understand this statement in biological terms. Our body is made up of small units called cells. Same kind of cells group together to perform specific activities like nutrition, absorption, transport, excretion, reproduction, etc. To perform these activities, cells need energy. Not only for this, even eating and sleeping demand energy. The food we eat has stored energy in it. The energy from food is released during respiration and this energy is utilized by the cells. Let's see how we get energy from the food. The food we eat gets digested in the stomach. From the small intestine, the digested food gets absorbed into the bloodstream and finally reaches every single cell in our body. The end products of sugar and starch digestion are glucose, fructose, and galactose. Glucose, fructose, and galactose are absorbed across the membrane of the small intestine and are transported into the liver, where they are either utilized by the liver or further distributed to the rest of the body. Thus, glucose reaches every cell. While breathing, we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. The oxygen enters our bloodstream and through blood it reaches every cell. In the cells, glucose is broken down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water. During the breakdown of glucose, energy is released. This energy is utilized by the cells to perform their functions. The process of breaking down of food in the cell with the release of energy is called cellular respiration. As glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen, this process is called aerobic respiration. Is it possible for any living organism to survive in the absence of oxygen? Yes, it is possible. Have you heard about yeast? Yeast are single cellular organisms. That means they have only one cell. They can respire in the absence of oxygen and are called anaerobes. As they respire in the absence of oxygen, they are called anaerobes. In them, glucose is broken down in the absence of oxygen and the process is called anaerobic respiration. We just learned that in aerobic respiration, glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide, water and energy. But in anaerobic respiration, the breakdown of glucose leads to the production of carbon dioxide, alcohol and energy. In the place of water, we get alcohol as a result of anaerobic respiration. As yeast produce alcohol in the absence of oxygen, they are used in the production of wine, beer, etc. Anaerobic respiration not only happens in yeast, but it happens in humans as well. In muscle cells, anaerobic respiration happens for a short period of time, but not always. While we do heavy exercise, running, weightlifting, etc., the demand of energy is very high, but the supply of oxygen is not enough to release the required amount of energy. During such times, anaerobic respiration happens. As a result of anaerobic respiration in muscles, lactic acid and energy are produced. Have you ever felt muscle cramps after a heavy exercise? The culprit is lactic acid. The accumulation of lactic acid causes muscle cramps. A shower in hot water gives us relief from these muscle cramps. You know why? The shower in hot water increases the blood circulation, and this will increase the flow of oxygen into the muscles, and in the presence of oxygen, lactic acid is converted into carbon dioxide and water. While breathing, we take in air rich in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. The taking in of oxygen rich air is called inhalation, and giving out of carbon dioxide rich air is called exhalation. A breath means one inhalation and one exhalation. The number of times a person breathes in a minute is called breathing rate. An average adult human breathes in and out 15 to 18 times a minute. But after a brisk walk or exercise, the breathing rate increases up to 25 times per minute. When we need extra energy, we breathe fast. As a result of fast breathing, more oxygen reaches our cells and speed up the breakdown of food. This will lead to the production of more energy. This explains why we breathe fast during physical activity. Have you ever noticed when we release our breath after holding it for some time, we breathe heavily? This happens because while we hold our breath, carbon dioxide starts to accumulate in our blood. As a result, the demand of oxygen is very high. When we breathe heavily, more oxygen enters our bloodstream, and that fulfills the requirement of our body. After some time, our breath becomes normal. Have you ever wondered why we feel hungry after a physical activity? This is because during our physical activity we breathe heavily, and as a result more oxygen reaches the cells and speeds up the breakdown of glucose, and as a result there is a shortage of glucose. We need more glucose for the production of energy. Then our brain tells us that we need to eat. That means we feel hungry. Now let's learn how do we breathe. When we inhale, the air passes through our nostrils into the nasal cavity. As a continuation of the nasal cavity, we have a trachea or windpipe. Through this windpipe, air reaches the lungs. We have a pair of lungs in the chest cavity. The chest cavity is surrounded by ribs on the sides. These are the ribs. On the floor of the chest cavity, we have a diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscular sheet. This diaphragm has a main role in respiration. During inhalation, that means when we inhale, our ribs moves up and diaphragm moves down. This will enable the lungs to expand as there is more space in the chest cavity. Now the lungs are filled with air. On the other hand, while we exhale, our ribs moves down and diaphragm moves up into its original position. This movement will reduce the space in the chest cavity. As a result, the lungs contract and the air inside it is pushed out. This is exhalation. We can understand the mechanism of breathing through an experiment. Take a white plastic bottle and a Y-shaped plastic tube. First, remove the bottom part of the bottle. To the open side of the bottle, tie a rubber or plastic sheet. Now tie two deflated balloons at the end of the Y-shaped tube. Now insert the tube inside the bottle. Take a cork and make a hole inside it so that the Y tube can be inserted through it. Now fix the cork on the top of the bottle to make the opening airtight. Now pull the rubber sheet at the bottom and look at the balloons. We can see the balloons getting inflated. This explains the inhalation. The balloons represent the lungs and rubber sheet represents the diaphragm. As we pull the rubber sheet at the bottom, it increases the space inside the bottle, and as a result, balloons get inflated. Now push the rubber sheet inside the bottle and observe the change in the balloons. We can see that the balloons are deflated. This explains the exhalation. As there is less space inside the cavity, the air is pushed out. Now let's check whether the exhaled air contains carbon dioxide or not. Take a test tube and pour some freshly prepared lime water into it. Cover the test tube on the top with a cork which has a hole in the middle. Insert a straw through the hole in the cork. The straw should be immersed in the lime water. Blow through the straw a few more times. We can observe that the lime water turns milky. When carbon dioxide mixed with lime water, we get calcium carbonate and water. Lime water is calcium hydroxide. When carbon dioxide mixed with calcium hydroxide, we get calcium carbonate and water. The production of calcium carbonate is the reason why the lime water turns milky. The exhaled air not only contains carbon dioxide, it contains nitrogen, oxygen, water vapor as well. If we exhale on a mirror, a film of moisture appears on the surface. This means that our exhaled air contains water vapor. The average total lung capacity of an adult male is 6 liters of air. The air surrounding us is not pure. It contains smoke, dust, pollens, etc. All these unwanted materials get caught in the hairs inside our nose. But sometimes these unwanted materials get past the hairs and enter our nasal cavity. This will cause irritation and we sneeze. Sneezing expels all these unwanted materials. That is why we are advised to close our nose while sneezing. Otherwise, the unwanted materials may enter other person's nose through inhalation. Till now, we learned about the breathing mechanism in humans. Now, let's learn about the breathing mechanism in other animals. Higher animals like monkeys, giraffes, and elephants have lungs for respiration. Let's learn about smaller animals. Insects like cockroaches have small openings on their sides. These openings are called spiracles. Inside the body, they have a network of tubes called tracheae. Spiracles will be here, and these are the tracheae. Inside the body, the tubes are there. These are the tracheae. Oxygen-rich air enters the insect's body through these openings, that is the spiracles, and through the tracheal tubes, it diffuses into every cell of the body. Diffusion means molecules move from a higher concentration area to a lower concentration area. Imagine this is the trachea and these are the cells. And as the oxygen concentration is very rich in the tracheae, it diffuses into the cells. But the carbon dioxide concentration is low in the tracheae and high in the cells. The carbon dioxide concentration is high in the cells, and as a result, through diffusion, this carbon dioxide enters the tracheae and through spiracles it is expelled. These tracheal tubes are found only in insects. Earthworms breathe through the skin. The skin of the earthworm is moist and slimy, and gases can easily pass through it. Similarly, even though frogs have lungs, they can also breathe through their skin. Now let's learn about breathing underwater. We know that fishes breathe through their gills. Gills contain a network of blood vessels. These are the gills, and this is a single filament of gill. Here we can see a group of capillaries are there. These are the blood vessels inside the gills. These blood vessels will increase the surface area for gas exchange. Fish exchange gas by pulling oxygen-rich water through their mouth and pumping it over their gills. Let's see how plants respire. Plants have tiny pores on their leaf surfaces called stomata. Through stomata, oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out during respiration. But during photosynthesis, the reverse thing happens. Carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is given out. In the cells of plants, glucose is broken down into carbon dioxide and water with the help of oxygen, like in other organisms. In plants, each part can independently take in oxygen from the air and give out carbon dioxide. Roots also respire in plants. They also need oxygen to generate energy. Root has root hairs on it. These are the root hairs. These root hairs take up oxygen present in the air spaces between the soil particles. From there, oxygen diffuses into the root hairs. You might have observed that overwatered plants may die as there is lack of oxygen for the root. The air spaces between the soil particles get filled with water, and this leads to the scarcity of oxygen for the roots, and as a result the plant may die. That's it about the chapter Respiration in Organisms. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. If you have any queries, put it in the comment box. Thank you.